Hey everyone, welcome to Kaldheim MTG. Today with a Magic Arena budget video. So today we're going to go over the 5 really good budget meta Magic Arena decks today. These decks are going to be used with minimal wildcards, but can still get the results, help you climb up the ladder, and basically just, they're really fun decks to play as well. But what you want in fun decks is a competitive deck as well. So as you look at a lot of the decks on the meta ladder, like you're in decks that could have over 50 rare wildcards in, a lot of the averages are between 30 and 40 as well. These meta decks start off with 7 rares, I think I'm right in saying. Yeah, 7 rares, and go up to the highest of 18 wildcards, which is still very low. So first of all, we're going to have a look at the most budget of budget meta deck. So let's take a look at the first deck. So the first deck we're looking at here is 7 rare wildcards, and it's the Cycle deck. Not a lot of changes in the Cycle deck, to be honest, since we've all, this deck has been around for a while. You want to be smashing in your big Zenith Flare and doing loads of damage, cycling through your deck. But what this has added in is Dual Strike. From Kaldheim, whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell with covered mana cost 4 or less, copy the spell. So it gives you a more chance, if it does get countered, you get to copy it and basically do the damage anyway, as long as they haven't got multiple counter spells coming at you. Now the rare wildcards are in Lurus here at the top as a companion, because, all your creatures and enchantment there as well are all 2 mana or less. The other rare wildcards are going in as Fable Passage as a 4 of, and a couple of pathways as well. Now, to be honest, you could make this 1 rare wildcard if you want, but the lands are in there to hopefully make it more consistent. Get your plains, get your mountains, what you need to potentially play your creatures in Flourishing Fox, and it helps thin out that deck, that slightest bit of difference. And obviously Fable Passage, when it goes, it does help the deck a bit. But what I'm saying is you really can go 1 rare wildcard if you really want. But this is the deck that people play in the meta. They have the pathways in there and the Fable Passage. And this deck just does what it does. It's very limited interaction. If you've got no way of countering the Zenith Flare, you're just basically sitting there hoping that they don't find it and fill up that graveyard quick enough to beat you down. But this deck, ultra consistent, very, very good, and can be, even with just 7 wildcards, keep those lands in there. It's still very, very budget to be able to play a meta deck and still get consistent results. Next on the list has 9 wildcards, 9 rare mythic wildcards. Now this is Mono Blue Mill. Very fun deck, one of my favourite decks to play. Utilises the wildcards in the lands again, which will be ever popular in these decks, for Fable Passage, and then we got 1 Castle Vantage as well. Now the other wildcards, rare wildcards, because I keep saying wildcards, you know what I mean, rare wildcards, are sunk into Maddening Cacophony. 2 mana, has kicker for 4, where you can mill half your opponent's library if you use the kicker cost, but even for 2 mana, just milling 8 cards is absolutely great. Sometimes you use that even when you've got the kicker because you feel like you might get more, but Ruined Crab is what this deck is built around, and obviously with Teferi's tutelage, you will get, honestly, some auto concedes when you play a Ruined Crab, which makes this deck a little bit stronger than it is, because people don't want to play against it, and honestly, people will just quit to the mill and just quickly move on to the next game in best of 1. So that is an added advantage of playing this budget Magic Arena deck in Mono Blue Mill. It's got counter magic, anti-cognation, and it's got negates. It also runs Mystical Disputes as well. It's a very card drawing counter spell type of deck, and that is what Mono Blue Mill is all about. Very fun deck to play and very easy to build as well. Just 9 rare wildcards, and you would definitely, especially in your lower ranks, in your goals and stuff like that, you will definitely pick up some wins. So this is a very, very nice meta deck to play. So the next deck we have is a version of Mono White Life Gain. This puts up amazing results, this deck. It's really high on the meta ladder of decks played as well. And Mono White Life Gain is very awkward to play against. Mainly consistent because of, getting this creature called Heliod Sun Crowned onto play super quickly can take over games. You have 3 of these as part of your 10, and the 4 of them is Linden the Steadfast Queen. Now, whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life, so it's ultimate life gain. And what's good about this is, with the triple white, it gets this online so quickly. That is what makes this deck powerful. Helia getting online quickly. You've got a 5/5 indestructible creature that has, whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. Put this down turn 2 Daxos as well. The devotion is going to get up there really quickly. The other rare it runs is Speaker of the Heavens. Super strong in the life gain deck, because if you get that life above 7, your starting life total, you can start creating 4/4 white angels, and we all know 4/4 flying white angels at a single tap will really take over a game and, you know, basically just start winning the game. You got protection here in Alseid of Life's Bounty, of course, sacking it, giving it protection from a colour. There's plenty of little, you know, giving non-human creatures you control +1/1 and indestructible. This deck is awkward. It's awkward to play against, especially if you're something like Mono Red, which really struggles against this deck because they just can't keep with the life gain. Even got 1 mana gain for life as well. That's just, you know, insane and can turn a game against Mono Red, for instance. This deck is super consistent. You can add more rares if you want, but this is the 10 rare version, keeping it as a cool budget version. And this meta deck, without a doubt, takes some beating. 16 rares, still very light for the metas, like I said. Your index 50, there's plenty there with 30, 40. This has 16 and it's mono black auras. Some really cool cards that I like playing with personally, like Rankle Sprankle. I love Rankle Sprankle. Demonic Embrace is a cool enchantment as well that can really just finish games. You got Lurrus in the main deck here as a 3-of because, you know, it's a 3/2 lifelink. Lurrus is still very sweet. And if you chuck a Demonic Embrace on it, swinging it in 6 life gain is just absolutely hideous. Another rare that runs Mythic here, Agadeem's Awakening, because you want to be returning stuff from the graveyard. You've got a lot of low mana creatures here. You've got Hateful Eidolon. You've got, you know, Serrated Scorpion that when it dies deals 2 damage and you gain 2 life. So bringing these sort of creatures back can really, you know, really enhance the deck. Same as MIDRANGE, you know, fills the deck, graveyard up, come back, does it again. Really, really cool. Thieves Guild Enforcer. Well, you know, with the Flash and Road decks, how awkward this deck can be. You know, this can get up to be a 3/2 with Death Touch, and it's great as an early play creature as well. Has more recursion, Agadeem's, and it has Call of the Death Dweller as well. This deck, I've never actually played this deck, but as I have the wildcards, it's something that I would be interested in. It seems like a really fun deck. I like the recursion decks at the moment. I do have that sort of theme in my, especially my EDH decks. I'm sort of going into like reanimating sort of decks. So yeah, any other, you know, non-standard that is. If there's any commander you think would be good for that, just put in the comments. But as well as the rare lands Castle Lock Twain, because it draws cards, it's great. So it's an extra rare to be in there. But all in all, I think this deck is super strong. Played, you know, it's a different type of deck that you usually see in Standard. It's not just your usual going in straight with aggro or control. It's a little bit different, and I think this deck, you know, will be fun to put together, and it does chuck in some really good results as well. So for 18 rares, you can play one of the strongest decks in Standard, and that is Dimir Rogues. Boo! I hear everyone say, I don't know, a lot of people just hate rogues. It's just because it's so annoying to play against. It's so strong. And it just has 18 rares. So when you're thinking, like I said before in previous, you'd sink in 40, 50 rares into your Yorin deck. This is so strong for 18 rares, and a lot of those, as you can see, can be obviously in the land base as well. You've got Clearwater Pathways as a couple of, you've got a Temple of Deceit and a Fable Passage there. This is like the least rare version of this deck, and it is still getting results, and it's still strong. You could possibly add some more Fable Passages in and, you know, cut down some of them. But this is the version of the deck that I found that was doing really well with the least rares. And yeah, it's good. Has the Thieves Guild Enforcer like the previous deck, 4 of them. What makes the deck tick for me is cards like this. Soaring Thought Thief, that's a bit of a mouthful, and Drown in the Lock. Drown in the Lock is just such a good card. I can't wait for this to rotate out personally. It's just so good. Runs a single Zareth San, the Trickster. Get it in, flash it in, return the unblocked attacking rogue, and then just put something on your hand, tapped and attacking. Super cool. When it deals combat damage to the player, put target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield and cause you a milling. So you're getting everything in there, and then you might get yourself an Ugin, you might get yourself something else. It's just such a good card. Nighthawk Scavenger works well with graveyards as well. Shark Typhoon, it just has everything, this deck. It has a bit of everything, which is why it's so awkward. It has Bounce with Brazen Borrower. It can bring back stuff from the graveyard as well. Counter Magic, it has Destruction, Bloodchief's Thirst. This is why this deck is so good, because it literally ticks a lot of the boxes and is very, very hard to play against. Now, if you've been watching my recent streams, I built an anti-deck to this, an anti-rogues deck, and it's actually been doing really well against rogues. So go and check my Jundam video. There'll be links in the description if you want to see something to beat this really good deck, because it does. It really does battle well, but all in all, this deck is still very hard to beat, and it says about something when, for me personally, when I thought I'm so fed up of losing to this deck that I built something to try and beat it, just to beat this deck. But yeah, 18 rares. Dimir Rogues is just so good, and I'm not surprised so many people playing it, even if, you know, I don't like coming against it. So there is 5 meta decks for you, 5 budget Magic Arena meta decks, and hopefully you'll be able to put some of them together and then just start ranking on the ladder. Now, a lot of these are obviously well known, but there's a few, you know, new cards added here and there. But these, you will get best for your buck to play on the ladder if you want something slightly more competitive. These budget arena decks have been doing well, and they will help you rank up for sure. If you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful, please give the video a thumbs up. It really does help support the channel. Big thanks to all my Patreons. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your support. Subscribe if you're new. Always got to remember to do that. You lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.